There are two bus routes that link Kingston with Epsom, the 406 and the 418. They follow each other for a lot of their routes until Tolworth, where they split to take different routes to Epsom. And last year they ran heritage buses on the 406, with some of them going beyond Epsom to Reigate and Redhill. There is a video of that on the channel. But this year it's the turn of the 418, and some of the buses as well will be continuing beyond Epsom today to a place called Bookham. So let's go catch an old train to then ride some old buses. Last year when I came here for the 406, Cromwell Road bus station was closed as it was undergoing construction work. It's all opened up and new now. So I've made it to Bookham after a 17-mile journey that took an hour and 26 minutes, just shy of an hour and a half. My bus on the side was branded as a London country bus, which the 418 used to be operated under, and it did used to run all the way to Bookham here. I think at some point it even went further to Guildford, and the current TfL service, Transport for London, between Kingston and Epsom started in 2002. I've never been to Bookham before, so I am going to have to come back one day and use the station, but for the longest time I've wanted to come here because on the other side of the station there's a place called Bookham Commons that are owned by the National Trust, and I've wanted to take a walk through there. But what I figured I'd do, because the place is so big, is I'll spend a bit of time now walking some of the paths in Bookham Commons that I'm not going to walk when I come back here and do a walk through there another day. So let's go do that. So as soon as you walk off the platforms of Bookham Station, you are greeted by a National Trust sign welcoming you to Bookham Commons. So let's have a little explore. We've got what looks to be a trig point here turned into a donation box. It's great to finally visit Bookham Commons after 5 years or so of wanting to. It's just funny knowing that I've got to come back here again one day now. Alright, I think I'll start looping back around towards Bookham Station now. I think I'm the only person out on the buses who have come for a nature walk. So there is a couple of properties and a lake here in Bookham Common known as the Isle of Wight. I'm not entirely sure why. Are they shaped like the Isle of Wight on a map? No idea. And after 2 miles or so, I re-emerge onto the platform at Bookham Station. Right, let's head over and catch a bus back to Epsom.
I was surprised to find that my return service was more of a modern looking bus. I assumed that it was subbed in to replace an older, unreliable vehicle that had broken down somewhere, but I didn't mind as it brought back memories of when I first rode the 418 route 7 years ago, as it had the red and orange interior that I was very familiar with when the route was owned by Quality Line, or the precursor to that, Epsom Coaches Group, which their logo makes reference to Epsom Downs Racecourse. Once back in Epsom, I was just in time to catch the last 481 service of the day. This was an additional circular local route that they were running over to the Wells estate, in reference to when Epsom was a spa town tucked into the middle of Epsom Common. So enjoy the full return speeded up journey of the 481 from Epsom Wells to Epsom Town.
So upon making it back to Epsom, I should have been just in time to have made a feeder service that was running out to Red Hill, very similar to the 406 Heritage Running Day from last year, except that first bus didn't run, so I had a half an hour wait for the next one, and I wasn't going to go all the way to Red Hill. I was going to jump out at Epsom Downs Racecourse at Tattenham Corner. I thought the bus was going to turn to call at the station. It didn't. It carried on, and there were no bus stops. So I've basically made it all the way down to Tadworth, one stop down the line. So what I'm going to do is catch the train from here, one stop back to Tattenham Corner, because that is where I wanted to go. The Sunday curse, though, is that there's an hourly service on this line. I always knew that it was a half-hourly service, and I do have a half an hour wait, so I would have made a train if this was any other day. And so if that bus had ran, I would have made it. So I'm essentially an hour down, but I get to tick off Tadworth Station. I've not actually used this one before, and I did think about getting the bus here in the first place just to tick it off, but I was saving it for when I come here for a walk over to Box Hill and back. I'll still do that walk, but Tadworth won't be a new station. So I'm just gonna hang out here for half an hour, I guess, and make my way back to Tattenham Corner.
We are now approaching Tattenham Corner, our final destination. Thank you for travelling with Southern.
I finally made it to where I wanted to be, Tattenham Corner, end of the line. Ironically, this is the closest station to Epsom Downs Racecourse, where I'm heading next. Well, there it is, my favourite racecourse, Epsom Downs. The day after the Derby, that's why there's a lot of bunting up currently. So I did mention in last year's 406 video how I think the adventures I do now can be attributed to my first visit to Epsom Downs Racecourse. Way back when I was riding all of London's bus routes, I would usually just head home afterwards, and when I did the 166 to Epsom Hospital, it was the first time I was like, no, I'm going to go and explore somewhere that the bus has taken me to. So I walked all the way down Ashley Road and was surprised to find that you can enter the middle of the grounds of the racecourse. I've loved it ever since, and I do think the adventures I do now, wanting to do these walks, discover new places, and just have an adventure, can be led back to this place right here. So yeah, very special place. So I'm actually going to take the walk over to the Epsom Downs station that is further away from Epsom Downs racecourse now. The way to reach Epsom Downs station is quite odd, as you just go through a local estate and all of a sudden the station appears and it just looks like any regular house. But that's because this was all railway land. This was originally a massive 9-platform station that's very much been scaled back to the single platform that it is today. The reason why it's so far from the racecourse is because when it opened in 1856, this was as close as they were allowed to build the railway. The Tattenham Corner line came in 1901, therefore it's much closer. To be named after such a major attraction, and for it to be such a nothing station almost, this absolutely is one of the weirdest ones in London. Well, outside of London, but I mean on the Oyster network. This says the rail replacement bus stop is a 2-minute walk from the station all the way down on that road, but then the map here shows you the 10-minute distance away, and I mean the road is clearly just about maybe over the halfway mark, possibly a 6-minute walk. I just walked it, that definitely wasn't 2 minutes. So the last time I would have used this station was about 5 years ago when I was riding all of the night bus routes, and I had done the N44 to Sutton station, and I caught the first train of the day down to the end of the line here at Epsom Downs, where I headed over to the racecourse in complete darkness to watch the sunrise, not knowing that the sun rises behind the houses, so I didn't really get to see it, but it was an experience nonetheless. And then I did use Tattenham Corner Station to get home, and because I was out all night, I kind of had like my midnight snacks. I had Oreos and Dr. Pepper. I definitely got a lot of weird looks drinking and eating them from the regular commuters heading into London for the day for their work. Well, thank you for joining me on another bus heritage running day. It's a real staple of the channel. The first video was one of these. I do feel like they are becoming more popular. There were some extreme queues for the buses today. Perhaps they should run more or spread people out across more services rather than just the one route. I guess videos like this also help publicise the events a little bit more as well. I'm sure though you'll see me on another running day soon. Well, thank you for joining me on another bus heritage running day. It's a real staple of the challenge.